Welcome back to the fourth episode of the Couch Gambit Podcast. My name is Jacob Sizemore, and I will be your host for today. We're going to be talking about movies, and the one that I just said before. Thank you for listening. We'll get back to you after this intro. Welcome back from that intro. Like I said, wow, already, this is great. This is the Couch Gambit Podcast. My name is Jacob Sizemore. I'll be your host for today. Right in front of me is Mr. Charles Carlisle. Hello, Charles.
What's going on, guys? Good to be back.
To his right is the secondhand citizen in this group of people. It is Liam Quay.
Secondhand citizen, I like that.
I meant to say second class, but a hand came out for some reason.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy, everyone.
And straight in front of Liam is Michael Ritchie Bono.
What happened? Oh, we're starting.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Why don't you show off what you have for the drink?
Oh, drink?
It's got your drink.
Well, I
your
mean...
special drink.
Oh, you mean the thing that you got me at Starbucks?
Yes, I did.
What is it called again?
White Persistence.
It just says GR Dragon.
Yep, that's what it is.
What is a GR?
Don't know.
No, it's a dragon
GR?
drink.
Yeah, dragon drink.
A dragon drink?
Yeah.
Dragon D's nuts? That was pretty bad. I'm sorry.
I don't know if you waited to say that or you
Michael
still was building up.
represents the podcast viewer consciousness. I think that's really what it is.
Oh, but you know what's really good? Hey, Colombian coffee ice. Juicy bar. That sounds weird. But yeah, no, it's really good, Nick. What is the topic again?
Ah, man, I don't think it matters anymore. Okay, so anyway, the first topic we're going to be talking about today is movies and culture, specifically how culture influences movies. Now, every single decade of movies has had an era. The 80s had an era of movies that have they have their own certain feel to it. The 90s, the 70s, the 50s, every single decade has had a certain era of movies that defined that decade. We're in a completely different decade now, and we've also passed a completely different decade of movies. And a lot of people have been, myself, have also been complaining in the past several weeks that we have been getting a slight decline in movies. Our movies have not been great. They've been factory-based. They've been just crapped out in the theaters with no real sense of character, story, progression, any of that stuff. The main core of all of these movies have just felt flat. And I can agree with that to a certain end, but on the opposite end, there's a lot of great movies that have happened. And I'm not just going to crap on this entire decade of movies just to say because a few bad eggs have come out. There have been a lot of great movies, and we have a lot to be thankful for in movies. Top Gun, John Wick, a bunch of these great movies that have come out. The Green Knight, one of my personal favorites that have come out in the past several years. All these movies are great, but what does everybody think of our current movies and how that have been produced in the last several years? And how has the audience affected the feel of these movies?
I've always loved the movie theater feel. So the movies that come out with audience appeal where you're supposed to get hyped in the theater, I absolutely love it. I'd eat it up. Infinity War and Endgame did that for me. And scratched that itch. But one of my favorite movies of all time has to be Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Really?
I love that movie. It's a beautiful concept, and then the way that they did it is so contrasted against the Doctor Strange movie that came out at the same time. It did everything that Doctor Strange did a billion times better. I mean, there's no question about it.
And half the freaking budget. They edited that on Premiere Pro. Most of that stuff was like basic special effects that were just turned up to a notch above everybody else because the studio behind it or the people behind it were just freaking creative editors.
If I'm gonna rep this movie. I love this movie. You're either going to hate it or you're either going to love it. There's not really an in between that I can really imagine because it is just so out there.
So you're saying
traditional movie, you're not going to get it with this.
So basically what you're saying is smart people will like it, dumb people will hate it.
Yeah, Rick and Morty fan. Okay.
Morty.
You have to have a high level of understanding.
Of course.
That's right.
Of course.
No, but it's seriously it was Doctor Strange just a million times better. I mean, seriously, it was the exact same concept. It was pretty incredible, actually, to watch.
And Short Round won Best Freaking Actor. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah,
Wow.
Shortstop, man.
Yeah.
So the directors of that, I wish I could remember their names.
Yeah.
But they're huge indie filmmakers.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of projects, and this is just another one on top of their already impressive resume. But they nailed it.
I will say that when it comes to general movies, I had to agree with the theatrical experience element of it. While the movies that have come out in the past 10 years, especially the popular ones that have come out in the past 10 years, are fun to go and watch, I find that, for example, all the Marvel films that have come out, they're fun to go and watch. They were an event. You had to go see these movies. They were all building up to something. However, I found all those movies to be horribly formulaic and, for the most part, not really all that interesting. Though I will say, when it comes to independent films in the past 10 years, bangers. Tons and tons of bangers along the way. You have A24, which produced, you have The Witch, you have Hereditary, you have A Ghost Story. Hereditary is amazing.
That film fucked me. Like, my mind. Oh my god.
Dude, if you've seen Hereditary, that's
Stop.
all you need to do.
No. Because I watched it with a couple of my friends, and I'm gonna be the first to admit I don't do super well with like horror and stuff like that, right? And so I'm not gonna lie, I was at my friend's place after we watched it. I shit you not, they kept fucking doing that, and I was like, and also just like, hey, look up at the ceiling. It was just so. Oh, I hated them.
What I liked is that there wasn't many jump scares in that film.
No.
Like the one thing that was similar to a jump scare is when you just see her just crawling on the road, but it's dead silence.
No, that's the.
There's
it's
no
so
sound.
good.
But the thing is, like, you can go through that movie and not see that, and it takes like what you said. It's a friend like, hey, just look up at the ceiling, and you're like, what is that? Oh my gosh! And it's like it's unsettling.
Oh, and then the scene where where the sister actually sticks her head out, and
spoilers!
I don't care. I don't care.
Of course,
clearly you don't care.
I
You
haven't
go
actually-
right
And
into
the
it.
decapitation happens. If you
I
haven't
haven't
seen
actually seen this movie.
a little girl gets decapitated.
Leon! What the fuck?
I don't-
Wait, was this the one with the telephone pole?
Yes.
Oh, I have seen it.
Oh, okay. We're
Okay,
fucking.
good.
Oh,
We're all
y'all
good.
liked that? Y'all liked that movie?
it.
Yes.
That shit was.
Oh, no.
What did you not like about
I
it?
hated that.
Why?
It was like the most milquetoast horror movie I've ever seen. I know. I'm
What's
bringing it back.
milquetoast mean?
Milquetoast, it's just like...
I approve of this word. No,
I
go
swear
on.
if you say Hereditary is generic.
It's watered down. It's like... Oh, yeah. No, it was... if it is the movie I'm thinking of, where the
mother is slowly like going insane. Like they have an entire family who
Right.
their grandmother just died, and then they're grieving the loss of that in their own way. And the mother has like a dollhouse, and she paints little figurines and
that's
stuff.
it.
That's the one.
God, I hated that movie.
Ah.
I hated it.
I thought that was such a creative
Well,
freaking
so
horror movie.
boring.
It's okay. We're about to.
Okay.
Jacob and I will argue about a film later.
Oh, yeah,
in the
definitely.
episode,
That's why I thought I hadn't seen it, because it was so forgettable.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to grab my alcohol. By the way, this is a shout out to Jerry who prepared this drink before me. It's pecan pre-line. Very nice drink. Thanks, Jerry. Shout out.
Acting
Thanks
like
a lot,
we have
man.
sponsorships.
Bro, we are
Yeah.
going on just tangent after tangent, man.
Yeah.
But
No,
real
so-
quick though, if I may,
Go ahead.
because I want to mention you were talking about the Marvel movies,
Yeah.
right? How it's like an event, right? How the excitement of going to theaters to see each and every Marvel movie. Like the thing that I really respected about Marvel before Phase 4, but that's where we're on
Phase
now,
4,
or
that's
whatever,
where it went wrong.
is that they had a level of patience that other like studios just were incapable of having.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
No, because and it goes to show difference between old Marvel versus like what DC tried to do to cram the the Justice League together in one like film. Granted, there were 2 or 3 films prior, or what I don't remember. I know
Yeah,
there's
but
Man of
not
Steel.
nearly enough.
Yeah, no, like there wasn't a dedicated Batman movie before Justice League
And
came out.
Batman v Superman as well.
Yeah.
Oh yes, of course. So I guess technically there was kind of a dedicated Batman film, kind of.
Yeah,
but not even
kind
that.
of. Not really,
But
though.
no, but Marvel, like, they had so much patience, right? And they like the first film, Iron Man, right? Like that was a huge gamble, especially because they had Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
with the way he was back then, right? Like everyone thought it was probably going to fail, but yeah, man.
I also heard that there was a great deal of improv throughout the entire movie as well.
would
There
not be
was
surprised.
there was a lot of rewriting of that script, quite a bit, because Robert Downey Jr. definitely is one of those actors that doesn't like to do the same take over and over again. He changes everything on every single take, and because of that, they had a director, Jon Favreau, who was fine with going with that.
Yeah.
He's a very good actor's director, and he knows how to roll with that. And so because of that, they made just a very genuinely entertaining, funny movie, and they knew the movie, and they knew the movie they were trying to make, and they had that post-credit scene after
Yes.
that, which in hindsight could have just been a really cool Easter egg, but it was the start of something really cool. And so I
sure.
do want to bring. I'm sorry.
No, because like the older like Marvel films, like there was so much care and dedication put into the craft, right? Yes, there did become like just formulas within the later films, but again, that's because it worked, right? It did work, and like of course, despite there being somewhat formulaic in the film, in the later films, I mean, there's still, you could tell a bunch of care put into the story, and getting into the Infinity Saga, all that jazz. For
sure.
There was so much love put into it.
Absolutely. Like, I'll criticize it for being formulaic, and personally, I'm not a big fan of the humor that in a lot of Marvel films. I think that it's very like one-liney. How do I describe it? Like very one-liney. But they were still genuinely enjoyable. They still had, as you said, they had a lot of care put into it, and they planned this from the very beginning, from the start, and it worked out.
So I like to get, unless you have something else.
No, I was going to ask how you think that compares to the newer generations of.
Yeah, so I would like to talk about what you were talking about a second ago. A lot of people say that the biggest problem coming with the new Phase 4 movies is superhero fatigue. I don't think that's the problem.
Oh, heavens no.
Not at
That's
all.
not it at all.
The new Flash movie's coming out, and like there's such a humongous hype all of a sudden for that movie. Despite, and we'll get into that movie specifically later, because I have a huge rant I would love to get into that movie about. But I don't think in any way it's superhero fatigue. I don't think that's the case.
Black Adam did great.
It did okay, actually. It didn't do that great.
Actually, I haven't
I don't
seen
think
it.
I think there was a huge problem with the marketing behind that movie, and it just seemed, for me, it seemed very formulaic. But okay, so the main point I'm trying to get across is that I don't think it's not superhero fatigue at all. I think the main problem is Marvel had a plan, and we all knew it had a plan. There was an agenda to be had, and from that very first Iron Man movie, like, there seems to be a plan in place. And as they continue to progress with Thor, with all these other movies, with The Incredible Hulk, even though that movie's not that great, but there was still a plan. There was a plan in place. Like, we're building to something. And then it built to the Avengers. And then at the end of that movie, it introduced Thanos. And even though that wasn't perfected yet, there's still a plan. There was a progression of ideas leading up to Infinity War and Endgame. That was the culmination of the story. And now the story's over. And we don't have anything else to really, be excited about, because what's the main goal for the new movies? You could say Kang, you could, but it's probably not. Like, I don't think Kang's going to be the main villain. He was beat by Ant-Man, who was a second-tier rate Avenger. How is he going to be threatening for like the rest of everybody else?
Well, I think the point is that there's like millions of different Kanes or whatever, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
they're from different universes. So yeah, one was defeated, which, by the way, like, I think it seems like a very boring antagonist.
He's not that like, you had Thanos, who he seemed like a big baddie from the very beginning. He could have been a very generic villain, but the way they portrayed him in Infinity War, they gave that guy so much depth, and a lot of people have said that's his movie. It's not an Avengers movie.
Oh yeah,
it's
no,
a
he's the
Thanos movie.
protagonist of Infinity
yeah,
War.
100%. So that they're lacking a plan. They're lacking a very clear end goal, and you can see that through all the movies. There's no clear agenda with all of the new movies, even the TV series. There's no real plan of what to do going forward, and it just kind of feels like you're lost now. It feels like what Star Wars is now. It's like you're
about to
releasing
say that.
exactly. You're releasing content. There's no end goal. It's just content.
Well, the thing is, when it came to Endgame, it really was the perfect ending of the story. And then, of course, some of the films that came out after that helped finish some of the individual character stories, such as Spider-Man No Way Home, which helped finish that story.
That was
off.
really good.
After that, I really don't see the point of even continuing it. Because, first of all, again, a lack of a plan, and people are starting to lose interest in it.
Well, I think you can also tell the direction that they're starting to go in. The new, I know that they're trying to introduce new X-Men and all that kind of stuff, but then the new Avengers, it's all going to be not retcon, but just recycled superheroes. And like we know what's coming, and until they prove otherwise.
Yeah, I'm sorry for interrupting. Like,
No,
who's even excited for the newer movies? Like, I didn't see, even though I did say I saw the new Ant-Man in a previous podcast, on this podcast, I completely lied. I thought it was the second Ant-Man. No, I apologize. It was Quantumania. I did not see Quantumania. I don't have any plan to see Quantumania. I want to see Guardians of the Galaxy for the sole reason that James Gunn's in it, and I want to see his completion of the trilogy, but I don't really care about the anymore. The Marvels, the trailer for that came out. That looks terrible. There's a bunch of other new Marvel movies coming. I have no desire. Does anyone have any desire anymore?
How'd you know that Ant-Man beat Kang?
What? Oh, spoilers. I just looked it up.
Oh, okay. It's like...
It's okay. No one cares about Ant-Man.
I don't care about the movie.
Quantumania.
No, yeah, truly. Who cares about the movie? Like, Hereditary is one thing. Ant-Man, Quantumania, nah, that's something else.
You're not missing anything with
Hereditary's been out for a while. I can spoil it.
Whatever.
Does anyone have a favorite film that came out in the past 10 years? There were
Everything
a lot.
Everywhere all at once.
Well, yeah.
Best
So
movie
we already know Charles.
Shut up, Mikey. No one cares.
But on a real, like, truly, did anyone have a favorite film that came out in the past 10 years?
My drive to go see like movies has just progressively like declined.
Yeah.
You know, and so I can't because I can't think of many theatrical releases that I've gone to see personally. Right. You know, I could give you a generic answer that a lot of people might give is like, I think Infinity War was like one of those films that I really loved watching, right? Like like that is something that I'll always remember, you know, seeing it in theaters. But I guess in the past 10 years, fudge.
We keep it PG here.
Fuck.
Bring your families.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know. I'd have to really think about it just because memory escapes me right now. So if you guys want to share yours.
Two movies. What? Go first. Yeah.
Everything Everywhere.
Oh my God. Never mind. Your opinion's invalid.
God almighty.
I am not a huge art house fan, or at least I've not been a huge art house fan because I've been inside. No, I haven't really been inside the film world, but I've been a lot around people who like to work with their pinkies in the air, who seem to have such a stick up their butt when it comes to their movies opinion. And it really has turned me off to a lot of art house movies because I can just see like the stick up your butt messaging in the movies.
Yeah.
It's like every single one of them is like, this is what you should take out of this. It's like, can you just let me be entertained? But one movie that's really caught my eye, it was from the director of A Ghost Story.
I love that movie.
It's The Green Knight. It's such a wonderful, awesome movie. It's from the old tale of the Green Knight, the Arthurian tale, but it takes it in it takes a little bit of a twist in a movie, but it not to where it's like a Rian Johnson subversion of expectations. It makes the story more meaningful, if that makes sense.
So I wanted to say that A Ghost Story was genuinely one of my favorite films, and a big reason I loved it is, first of all, I love the whole idea and the theme behind it, and I love the stylistic choice. So the movie is shot in a 4:3 aspect ratio, and when the main character dies, when he's a ghost, they represent that by actually putting a bedsheet over him. So the main character is walking around in a bedsheet the entire film, but it is a
I'm sold.
It is a completely serious film.
And it's a famous actor. They have their face covered throughout the entire movie. They have his face covered. He doesn't talk at all. When he does, it's like subtitles to represent his dialogue. You see, and what I like is it's a story about how life goes on after you die. Everyone moves on. Everything changes. The place that you grew up in, many people are going to end up living there, and eventually it's going to be torn down and it's going to be replaced. And I genuinely just fell in love with the film for that reason. Another film that I really love was La La Land. Oh.
Which I know that Jacob's seen it. Have you seen it?
Nope.
Have you seen it?
I've not, but I know I need to.
Oh, man.
I think you would really like it.
Yeah?
I don't like musicals at all, but I went to go see it in the theaters, and by the end, I was like bawling.
Right. Real quickly, speaking of musicals, you know what? Okay. You know what I think it's called From the Heights or whatever, right? It was
that one.
Lin-Manuel or whatever. He did that. I know it was originally it was on Broadway, right? I don't.
It was
remember.
on Broadway, and it was turned into a movie.
Yeah, so I remember the musical itself, right? Like, I thought, oh yeah, it's pretty good. And then when I found out it was a movie, it's like, I guess I could watch this. And everyone kept telling me, oh, it's so good. It's so good. And then I watched it and I fucking hated it. Why do people like that movie? It's so fucking bad.
It looks so generic.
Okay, because like, it's supposed to be a film that's ground reality too, right? So why in one of the sequences are they running on the sideways of a fucking building during their fucking song? What the fuck? I just kind of like for a moment I almost stood from my seat to leave, but I was stopped. It's like, hey man, you paid for this ticket. I'm like, fuck.
The audacity of it in a movie where everybody is singing. How dare that movie not be based in reality?
No, because like the whole film, it's just like, okay, I was just fucking stunned by it. It was just random. I just completely took me out of the fucking movie. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Because like nothing like that happened prior, and nothing like that happens after the movie.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's just this. They're just on the side of the fucking building, just standing on the side of the building like they're fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah. Now, musicals, you can get away with that kind of stuff because, like I said, you're all singing. It's not based in reality. You're never going to break out into song and dance. If you do, you deserve to get punched. But if, like in La La Land, for instance, like there's a scene where both the characters very abruptly start to fly. I'm not kidding you. They start to fly, but they've established in this reality that this is a very hyper real. Like this is not the one scene where they fly. Like they do a bunch of crazy magical stuff throughout the whole movie, and it's a very heightened reality.
Well, that's fine because they set that precedent, you know.
Yes.
But in From the Heights, if my memory serves, never happens until just that one isolated scene.
Well, and it goes back to this. So, La La Land is actually, the story itself is pretty grounded for the most part. It's about a guy that likes jazz and he wants to be a jazz musician, and a girl that wants to become an actress. And that's pretty much the story. And their whole relationship is very grounded. The result of the ending of their relationship is also very grounded as well. But then you have this Hollywood spectacle that just arrives throughout the musical scenes. That's a big reason I love musicals, and it's a big reason I love classic films in general as well. And La La Land was very much a call back to a lot of the traditional Hollywood elements, where there would be this kind of real story where you would get to know multiple characters throughout the film, and the main focus would be on these characters and be very grounded. Again, there was a lack of technology, so you couldn't go above and beyond, but there would still be this sense of magic within the story itself. I do want to continue this conversation a bit, but I do want to get more onto the classic movie element. I know that you've seen a few classic films yourself, but you still haven't watched that much.
Yeah, you definitely might know more than me in that aspect. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is To Kill a Mockingbird, the movie adaptation of the book. That's such a freaking amazing movie. It's a black and white movie. It was made back in the day, but the guy who plays Atticus Finch in that movie, top tier, best performances of all time. He's so good in that movie. It makes me sad and frustrated when I realize that the author of the original book came up with another book that makes him a racist. Like I hate that freaking twist. But the movie itself is wonderful. Like I love certain classic movies. I'm not as into it as you are because there are a lot of people who love the classics, and don't get me wrong, classic movies are great. People who say Citizen Kane is the best movie of all time is wrong. That movie is boring as nuts to get through. I have not been able to suffer an instance of that movie. It is so boring. I hate it. It's well done for the time. Sure, I get the reasons why it's so groundbreaking, but my good heaven to Betsy, I fall asleep every time.
Okay, I wouldn't say Citizen Kane is the greatest film of all time, but I definitely do enjoy that movie. I think I'm able to kind of nail it down because I've been trying to think about this for a few days of why I find classic movies so appealing, and I think it goes back to what I just said about La La Land. Their ability to be grounded but incredibly dramatized at the same time, which I see lacking in a lot of films. Most films are either trying way too hard to be too realistic nowadays, or they're going in the exact opposite direction, and they're just going full-blown, like, conceptual ideas.
I mean, well, because, like, would you say old Star Wars is grounded in reality?
Well, I'm thinking older than Star Wars.
Well, sure. No, I get that. But, like, because I haven't seen old movies like what you guys are describing, right? So, like, I think the oldest film I've ever seen is probably, like, Star Wars A New Hope, right? Or, wait, what? Was A New Hope, or did, like, the first Predator come out before?
I feel like Predator came out before Star Wars.
Maybe.
I might be wrong.
Oh, I will say, I still can't think of a movie from the past 10 years that I would say is like my favorite movie, but like I can think of plenty of movies that from before that I really love. I love Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. That's my favorite movie. I love Terminator 2. That's also one of my favorite movies. Like those, like Empire Strikes Back and Terminator 2 in contention for being just best sequels ever made.
Oh,
Bar none.
beautiful.
Bar fucking none. All right? Everything after Terminator 2 doesn't exist. I'm just saying. I love I love the Lord of the Rings films. Those are so much fun.
Those are perfect.
I
You want to talk about perfectly made movies? Like every single aspect of that movie was so well thought out where you could so easily cheat every aspect.
Can I just say this though?
Go ahead.
The extended cut, I've seen it all and I still enjoy it. It's too long.
It is, but there's some parts that I enjoy.
Sure. But I think there's a reason why it was cut in the first place.
Yes.
Because they knew for a theatrical release, with the extended cut, it would be too bloated.
Yeah.
I think that was the fear, and I agree with that fear.
So one thing that I really appreciate, and maybe it's laziness while I'm watching a movie, but whenever you can just fully trust in the writers and directors to make a coherent story that just makes sense and is going to go in a direction. I know we did John Wick last week, but for the last episode, but it ebbs and flows in so many different directions, but you trust that it's going in a good direction because they have a good reputation through the other movies, and you don't have to sit there and think about it, and you don't get as fatigued, at least the first viewing, because you're just along for the ride.
I'd say that's not lazy.
Because
you said like it might be lazy or something. But,
as opposed to like thinking through like themes, like some movies try to be deeper, but whenever they try and set up, especially sci-fi stuff, and then don't either break their own rules or don't fully explain how something works. One of the things that pissed me off was Ant-Man, how he grows bigger, and it makes zero sense because the whole idea is he gets smaller and it makes him more dense, and that's where his strength comes from.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets bigger, and all of a sudden he's
he can lift buildings.
Or they have a tank on a keychain which should weigh tons and drag you down because again, the concept in the movie, which is actually different from the comic books, but the concept in the movie is that the space in between the atoms is shrinking, which causes him to shrink. If that goes in the other direction, that would emphasize that the space between the atoms would separate even further, which would make him as light as air when he does become becomes Giant Man.
And this is why it is so much more intense whenever you don't have to think about it as you're watching it, and you can get into the horror movies, you can get into the thrillers, the mysteries, the excitement of it. If something badass is happening, you're not sitting there thinking this is really cheesy. Like it's just happening, you get it, and you can trust that there's a direction.
Well, there's a genuine there is a genuine value in keeping your stories as simple as possible so that you can really focus on your characters.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah, I definitely agree that. I mean, yes, you can have like complexity in your story, right? There's nothing wrong with having complex topics, but yes, most like good stories that are told are very simple, all right? But the thing, the mark of a good movie is the filmmakers basically trust the audience to understand what is going on. That they don't have to spoon feed information to you, right? That is a mark of a good movie. Every film that I adore, that I know is a good film, they can be as subtle as possible, right? But because they trust you as the viewer to pick up on cues, to understand what is going on, to understand the emotional complexity maybe of a certain scene, stuff like that.
And you also need to be able to know how to tell a story effectively. And again, that's what you were talking about a second ago, like relying on the filmmakers, relying on the director, be able to tell that story effectively. You're not worried about the story. You're not worried about stumbles in the story and like, I don't understand this. What are we doing? Oh, we're not going to explain that at all. Okay, they just jump over logic to try and make a story happen instead of naturally involving the story. A light just went out. What the heck?
Probably Austin.
Yeah, probably.
My roommate.
But anyway, like telling that story and having confidence through it. That's why movies with Quentin Tarantino, Christopher Nolan, all these big name directors, they got their big name for a reason because they the audience can trust that they're going to tell an inventive, powerful story. That's why movie tickets are sold with Quentin Tarantino's name under it. It's like, I'm going to go see the new Quentin Tarantino movie. I'm not going to go see the new Marvel movie. I'm going to go see, wow, the new Quentin Tarantino movie. And
turned it on.
he can make whatever he wants. He made Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a movie that has effectively no plot in the whole freaking movie, and it made a ton of money. It made a crap ton of money.
I would simplify it anymore. The mark of a good movie is a movie that can make you sit there right after it ends and make you go, wow.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I want to move on to talking about defective directors. I want to bring in Zack Snyder into the equation. And I want to bring up Zack Snyder because I would love to talk about the DC cinematic universe, or quote-unquote cinematic universe as it is right now. Now, before we eventually start to argue about certain things, because there's a movie that me and Michael don't 100% agree on.
I fucking hate you.
And, yeah, of course. And I want to talk about the whole effectiveness of the DC universe thus far. It is... Thank you.
Yikes.
Good job. Second last sentence. It has been horribly handled. The whole thing. Now, I love a lot of the DC movies in and of themselves. I think they take a lot more risks than Marvel. I think they take a lot more big swings, even though they tend to miss quite a bit of the time. But
100%
even
of the
Batman
time.
v Superman, a lot of the things in that movie are very risky. I have a lot of respect for those movies. The Suicide Squad, pretty freaking risky. I don't know why I
one?
didn't make
Which one?
not the bad one. The Suicide Squad. I think it's Suicide Squad and then the Suicide Squad, which is a huge contributing factor into the quality of the movie. The James Gunn Suicide Squad, to be very clear. But I think a lot of those movies, I respect them, but the whole, like, whoever's controlling the stories and where this thing is going, there ain't no Kevin Feige. It's been horrible. I don't know who is in charge. They have to be fired, and they have been fired because now James Gunn, who was at Marvel, is now in charge of this crap. And it's changing radically. What do we have to say about that nonsense and garbage?
Most DC films suck.
I haven't seen the Justice League.
I have to agree. I go into every single DC movie I've gone into it expecting it to be horrible.
Yeah.
Black Adam actually did surprise. I liked Black Adam.
I haven't seen it.
But Wonder Woman 1984 made me want to
Awful.
literally stop going to see movies.
That was
It
terrible.
everything that's wrong with movies today, in my opinion. I mean, it's just the politics, the pacing, it's horrible.
Do you want to know what DC film actually was almost good for? Like, I actually think it was so close to being at least like a 7. The first Wonder Woman film, actually. I think the film was actually pretty good. Right? Up until
What you're gonna say?
up until the point where it turns out the super baddie was fucking Ares. I'm like, this whole time, like the whole point, like I thought was to show Wonder Woman that no, bad things and bad people, like they just happen. There is no super mastermind who is causing this war. It's just bad people, selfish people wanting, to accomplish, some, selfish goal. And Wonder Woman comes to that realization, obviously, with what was the male actor's
Chris
character
Pine.
name? I know Chris Pine. I forget the
Some British guy, whoever.
who cares.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, this is so good. Like
Right.
this is actually a good DC film. And then of course Ares turns out to be the random British guy with the mustache.
You can
That's
see
Ares?
his mustache under his helmet.
I'm like, that's Ares? Him?
It was so bad. I hated that.
It
they
made
can't
me-
make a good villain to save
It
him.
went from
It's
being a pretty
bad.
solid film to being one of the angriest I've been after watching a film. I was livid after watching it.
I liked that, and I agree with you. The ending of that movie is not good at all, and the problem is I really loved the beginning of that movie.
Yeah.
I loved the relationship between Wonder Woman and Chris Pine. It was executed really well. It wasn't like this girl boss moments of just like taking this guy and demasculating. Like, no, they're very good partnerships. Even though she's clearly more powerful and she has some great action scenes, they work together. They have a great chemistry together, and their relationship was forming great. And then the end of the movie happened. And then he just went off to go blow himself up for no reason.
Yeah.
They could have walked around that 7,000 different ways. I don't know, grab a parachute, dude, something. Like, why did you need to blow yourself up kamikaze style? Like, I don't know what happened. Like,
Yeah, the ending was truly awful. And it just goes to show that your film, from beginning and to the middle, can be stellar, excellent even, probably close to perfection, but the ending must land. If the ending is just a train wreck, then your film has utterly failed. It's no longer, I can't even say it's good, because if you fail the ending, then the entire film fails.
Yeah, what was the point of the rest of it?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, that's what audiences have to walk out on.
Yep.
that's when the studio came in and said, "Wait, there's no big bad guy. We don't have to. We need to have someone to fight her at the end. We can't just let the whole message of the story be the actual message of the story.
We already set the CGI budget. Oh my god!
We have these
It's
animators
like
standing
Congress
by.
telling the president, "You have to spend this money, dude."
We have these starving guys that haven't seen their families in weeks. They're ready to animate something because we're paying them to animate. We're paying them barely the bare minimum, but we're paying them, so we gotta let them do something.
I'd say their
Let's go.
budget is fine when it comes to the CGI. After all, even everything in movies nowadays, CGI, even the environment that the characters are in, a vast majority of the time is completely made in the computer.
Lord have mercy.
Well, do you think CGI in of itself is lazy?
No, if you handle it well.
Because I know people will say that just because a lot of our films are made with computers now, like it's just lazy. It's really not.
It
still takes a lot of work.
Yes.
No, like it's a different form of filmmaking. Yes, practical effects are very impressive, right? And because but good CGI is also equally as impressive, but for different
Very
reasons.
much.
Going back to Lord of the Rings with Gollum.
And going back, one of the guys who uses CGI the most effectively is probably a guy who doesn't really get credited for using a lot of CGI is David Fincher. He incorporates CGI beautifully in his movies to the point where in most of his movies, I guarantee you can't even tell he's using CGI because he uses CGI to move and to mold the backgrounds, to build his backgrounds. Like, and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which is a wonderful freaking movie and really creepy. A lot of the backgrounds in his shots are CGI. And you see like the behind the scenes, and you're blown the frick away that all of this stuff is CGI. But it's because he's filming in a real life environment. In the background, he's adding like a plane landing or like several buildings in the background to make it look a lot more inviting, but is using it effectively. If you use CGI effectively, it's a good tool, like George Lucas used to say. And then he made the prequels, which looked CGI crazy load. I love Revenge of the Sith, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I love those movies.
I mean, I will say some of the CGI in the prequels were, some of it was pretty good.
No.
Yeah, Jar Jar Binks did not look
some of it
good.
was pretty good.
No.
Like the ships and whatnot.
I mean, maybe it's looking through it through modern eyes, but it does appear to be very dated. However, a lot of modern films with CGI also appear to be dated.
I'm not
so
for example,
I can't
I'm not
really
saying
knock it too much.
I'm not saying the Clone Troopers looked really good because you could tell they were CGI.
Oh, you would definitely tell they're CGI.
But which, by the way, I think that was lazy.
Yeah.
That was fucking lazy.
Very lazy.
But like the ships, the particle effects of explosion, like all that stuff was really good. But God, I miss the practical effects that we had in the prequels.
Yeah, I mean, for all their
the original trilogy. Ugh.
The way I feel like a lot of really good directors use CGI is they use it stylistically, and they use it to inform the shots and inform the characters. And one director I do think does that very, very well is Zack Snyder. And you can make fun of him for all his slow-mo, for his overuse of CGI. I genuinely think that he uses CGI beautifully in his movies. You look at 300, a lot of the shots in those movies.
300 is good, actually.
Yeah, we're building up to it. We have to get to the movies that you have to admit are good.
Well, actually, but those 300 though, like not only did I love it for like just it's so fun to watch.
It is.
But like, God, even just some of the writing is not bad.
Not bad.
Like some of the character writing is pretty good. Some of the dialogue is actually really good. Like Leonidas's like final words basically before like the arrows come descending upon him. Fucking beautiful, beautiful.
I do want to give credit to one piece of CGI work in a movie that most of us probably don't really like all that much. I do want to give credit to the Amazing Spider-Man films with Mark Webb's Amazing Spider-Man film. There's a whole list of practical effects, but it's one of those movies that actually uses CGI in a very effective way because that whole opening scene in the second one, love it or hate it, is completely CGI. Man, the way they just utilize the ripples in the costume
Right,
and the
sure.
and the lighting and the muscle the physical build of the character is very impressive.
For
And I
sure.
was surprised
Yeah.
myself to find out that was a completely CGI model.
It's still a terrible film.
Oh yeah, it's still an awful film. Don't get me wrong. Now, credit where credit is due. There are good elements of that film. I mean, there's moments in those films where Mark Webb's writing really does show, or Mark Webb's stylistic choices really do show. And overall, I think the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone is absolutely beautiful.
That's really good.
But everything else sucks.
Yeah, I mean, did everyone think the scene where he fails? Spoilers. Where he fails to save her, does everyone think that was a pretty well-made scene?
I think it was a great
Oh
scene.
yeah, absolutely.
But you have a director who's really good at working with actors. He may not be working. He may not be great at working with that kind of budget, if that makes sense. Like he made a film.
500 Days of Summer.
Yeah, he made 500 Days of Summer, and he made another one. Crap, I forgot what it's called. It's starring Chris Evans and a really, really talented little girl. I forgot what it's called, but it's also a really, really good movie and a really good emotional piece. He's really good at actors directing.
You know, it's really unfortunate that those movies weren't that good because honestly, Mark Webb is the perfect name for a guy directing a Spider-Man
Oh
film.
yeah,
cringe,
It really is though.
cringe take.
it is a good. What do you mean, Webb? It's
I
beautiful.
know. That's
beautiful.
corny as fuck.
It is corny. That's why it's awesome.
But Mikey,
it's
it
perfect.
looked like from your facial expression, you kind of were like, the scene was like meh.
No, that wasn't.
It wasn't that.
You're talking about the Spider-Man one?
Yeah, the Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Was it because of with the web looked like an outreached hand? I know a lot of people are like that shit's corny, but
no. I mean, I appreciated that it didn't follow the normal trope of saving the girl, but
Yeah.
it
was well acted.
was well acted. I'll give them that. They moved past that quick though. I don't know. I mean, I feel like they did. Anyways, I don't think that it. Yeah, no. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the movies. I think it might just be
Well, if
bias.
the films are bad, yeah, no one's gonna.
I might just have bias against the whole movies.
But yeah, no. Back to 300 though. Yeah, no, I love that fucking
So
film.
what
Yeah.
was cool about 300 is the technique they used whenever they did the zoom in and zoom out shots during the slow mo. That technology directly translated over to iPhone's implementation of the multiple cameras at different
Nice.
focal lengths. And I mean, you can recreate those shots using the iPhone cameras with some extra effort.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool.
That
I mean,
is-
the techniques they used on those movies was phenomenal.
You
That's
got to
pretty
see the
dope.
pitch behind those movies because he was the original pitch was like we're gonna film it this way. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. It's like, oh, so where we're gonna film in Greece? Like, oh no, we're not filming in Greece. We're filming in front of a green screen. And like, huh, what? And then he made them like pitches. Like, this is how we're gonna film it. And they were like, okay, because Troy was filming at the time, and they were filming like on real locations. They were using Brad Pitt and everything, like a big name actor. And Gerard Butler's not a big name actor, not even at that time. Even now, he's only really known for 300, but you just rolling the dice with that movie. It's like, this might as well work, and it worked beautifully. Like the CGI in that movie is beautiful, and most of his CGI in his movies are beautiful, especially the CGI in the new Justice League movie with the 4-hour new cut, which
just
is
wants
a
to
great
start an
movie.
argument with you.
This is going to be the argument, by the way. I am a huge fan of the Zack Snyders Justice League. Huge fan. I love the movie. I think it's great. 4 hours and all. I do not care. Would have had more. I'm a huge Zack Snyder fan when it comes to that. But some other person's not. He's to my left. Michael Richbono. Welcome to the podcast.
Fucking awful film. Look, the Josh Whedon cut, the Zack Snyder cut, they're both terrible. But at least with Josh Whedon's cut, I didn't have to sit there for 4 fucking hours. Oh my god. No, okay, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
What specifically about the Zack Snyder cut do you like?
The movie makes sense. The movie feels
It
like it
still
has
doesn't
intent.
make- it still doesn't make
has
sense.
intention. You can't deny, like, seeing the other movie, it feels like something was ripped out of it. Like the original theatrical cut, something was missing.
Yeah, because
And
he
then-
had to rip out tumors.
Yes. And in this cut, it feels like there's clear intention. There's purpose behind
What is
every
the
single
intent?
scene in the movie. It's building to the final scene. And it's a very visually amazing, very creative movie. The scene, even if you hate the movie, you can't deny the scene with the Flash near the end. I'm not going to say spoilers, but it's a 4-hour movie. If you want to commit that time to it, by all means. You should.
Don't waste your time.
You should. It's a beautiful movie. And that scene is awesome. You can't deny that scene's awesome.
Are you talking about him running so fast that he goes back in time?
Yes.
That's a stupid fucking scene.
You're a bad person.
It is so fucking... Look, the moment, like, oh yeah, he can just go back in time to fix mistakes now. It's like, that's pretty fucking stupid.
It's so good.
No, like, because now you set a precedent over, like, that are there any real stakes in future films?
Maybe.
Oh my god.
No, but for that point, like the Flash is known to do that in the comics, and that's already been he can't do it all the time. He can't just reset the timeline every time. It's something that's very special in the moment that he realized he could do. So I feel like it's very special for that specific scene. Also, the scene itself is freaking beautiful. It is gorgeous. The music, composure, it's beautiful.
Composure?
The composure. That's the wrong word. Whoops.
It is.
But the whole movie, the tone is so different, and it's a lot darker. It's a lot moodier in a lot of places. There's scenes that are put back together that now make sense in the grand scheme of things. There's a relationship with Cyborg, his whole father that was missing in the original cut. That's way better.
Don't
now.
get me wrong. I agree that the thing with Silas, his dad's name by the way, and Cyborg, like those are well acted scenes. Like the actor for Silas is really good.
Yeah.
Really good. But if anything, I fucking hate Cyborg even more.
Why?
In that film. Oh my! It was like, fuck the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Holy shit! But
that was kind of stupid. The random F word.
Also, my big thing is in the beginning, they instead of Steppenwolf, right, who's this who was invading Earth, it was Darkseid, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that Darkseid is a bitch. He's a total bitch. He lost already. He already lost.
He fought Greek gods, my guy.
Who cares?
Me?
Dude, like fucking... Okay, but like Wonder Woman defeated a Greek god, right?
Yeah.
And like she's not even... Like, is she even close to Superman's level?
She's a god killer. It's her whole thing.
Oh my god. No, but like, here's the big thing too. There weren't any... Like, Darkseid had never even fought a Kryptonian. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, because Steppenwolf, basically, one of the big reasons why Darkseid and Steppenwolf felt confident in invading Earth was because there's no longer a Kryptonian.
Yeah.
And so it's already established that Darkseid is like, oh man, I'm gonna get my ass kicked by Superman. Like, well, now he's back.
That is a little weird because Darkseid is supposed to be like a tier above Superman.
Yes, in the comics, yeah. I don't really read the comics, by the way, right? Mm-hmm. But I understand that Darkseid is like his threat level is significantly higher than Superman's in the comics. But in the movie, he's a bitch. He's a total. Also,
It's not the main villain though.
Darkseid is the main villain.
No, he's not. It's Steppenwolf.
No, he's
in
like,
this movie.
No, in that movie, yes. But in Darkseid, he's the actual head honcho villain.
He is, but Thanos didn't get his time to shine until they got his movie. They kept
Did
introducing
Thanos ever
him.
get his ass kicked prior?
Darkseid hasn't.
Yes, he did. It was literally the beginning of Justice League.
That's true. But he was young.
Oh my god.
He was young. He's very different.
But still, like, you've already established that the antagonist is a bitch. Also, the Green Lantern in the fucking beginning, like, the Green Lantern is supposed to have all these creative ways to do like attacks and everything, like using a minigun or a hammer.
So how long was
or
that like
chains, all that stuff. Like, but then you have the Green Lantern in the fucking flashback of fighting Darkseid, shooting green laser beams. That's boring AF. Fuck you, Zack Snyder. That's boring. Okay. Also, why Darkseid on God's green Earth? When you invade planet Earth, you have your 3 stupid cubes that need to. This ritual they had to terraform the entire planet. Why do you have them in the front fucking lines? If it's so important, have it in the back and your army's at the front. Instead, you have your army behind the fucking black space wizards or whatever, okay? Using their black magic. What the fuck, Darkseid? Are you a dumbass? I hate this film. I hate it. Now, also, when the cubes, they react to Superman screaming. In Josh Whedon's cut, it was basically the cubes have like their own will where they can tell that Superman died, right? And so it's like, okay, the big threat is gone. Good. We're going to now alert Steppenwolf to come get us. But in the Zack Snyder cut, it's Superman's scream that wakes the cubes up. So wait, so Kryptonian's scream can wake the cubes up. So why in Man of Steel, when they're fucking screaming at each other over and over again, did the cubes not wake up the first time?
Because one was still alive, my guy.
What?
There's one that's still alive.
But in Zack Snyder's cut, they don't establish that the cubes have their own kind of will or thought.
I feel like there's a very different thing from screaming at somebody than screaming that, oh, no, he's dead now. That's a scream of death.
Well, what about in Man of Steel when he basically kills Zod and he has that anguished fucking scream?
Because he's not dying. He's just screaming in general.
God.
It's a difference of screams. Like
It's
one
a
of them
difference
is
of screams, he says.
It is a difference.
It's a difference of
how does
screams.
how does it make more sense that they would just know that he's dead? At least there's a reason this time.
Magic.
And you have a problem with screaming, and you're just going to throw magic out there?
Because Superman has screamed countless of times. Very loud screams, I may add.
Yeah, one of them ended him primarily. Like he died after that one.
Okay, but like, do people actually scream louder when they're like dead, or when they're? Because again, like he had a scream of anguish that was pretty fucking loud. In Man of Steel.
Your excuse was magic, my guy.
Yeah,
magic.
I prefer that over. Oh, he screamed.
So this is why this version is better. This is the definitive reason.
Give me, yeah.
Your reason why those cubes woke up in the first place? That's such a bland, generic reason.
Well, also,
you know what?
actually,
You know
it's
how
been a while
the
since I've
movie.
seen the film, so I actually don't remember the actual reason.
Okay, well,
it's been years.
It's a terrible movie, but
They're
you know
both
how
terrible.
the better Justice League opens. It opens with the death of Superman. Automatically, that's at least some stakes right there. The most powerful person is dead, and so you have that, and then. What you have has this scream reverberates everywhere. You have world building. You're introducing all the other worlds with, if this movie was actually the one that came out, you wouldn't have seen Aquaman before, Wonder Woman before. You would have actually seen these worlds. And so, like, you're getting to be reintroduced to the Amazonian worlds. You're introduced to the Aquaman world. So all of these worlds are getting introduced to you. So it's world building. It's showing that this one's here and this one and this little cube is here. So it's reintroducing everything, and it's a very clear that the threat is coming. It's very clear, like something's coming, and Superman was the cause of it, and now everyone is threatened, and now everyone is weaker because Superman's dead. It automatically establishes stakes, whereas the other one's just like, we're up.
I do have a question. So Superman, we're talking about Superman's death at the end of Justice League, at the end of Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he's stabbed with a kryptonite. Or basically,
Spear or something?
Yeah, spear or
no,
something.
he's stabbed by
His big middle finger, like
Abomination.
stabby.
Abomination.
Is it no.
Not
Doomsday.
Doomsday. Oh, jeez.
Abomination.
Oh, we're
That
sorry.
was
It was an abomination of the
Please
film,
don't
though.
That was terrible. That was terrible. I'm not gonna lie. That
Okay.
was terrible.
But okay, so pardon my ignorance of Superman's weaknesses and all that.
Yeah.
He died because Doomsday is like made of, or is from.
I don't think he's made of-
kryptonite.
Part of the reason is he was already near kryptonite when he was stabbing him, so he's
Yeah,
already
okay.
kind of weak, and then he just went like, "Bleh," and stabbed him
Okay.
with his big spiky.
With a big spiky. Okay. Well, I guess my point is, if he's lost enough of his powers to die, how is he screaming so loud? Is that?
Maybe because pain hurts, and
Yeah, but like, okay, but a lot of people have screamed pretty loud,
Yes.
but it's not heard around the world.
well, Superman has this thing called like atomic breath and everything. So
Right,
I feel
but
like
not when his
are
powers are gone.
true. Oh no! You
Yeah.
just killed it. Charles, what the heck?
I haven't even seen the movie, and yeah.
Charles, come to my office afterwards.
No, but there's so much wrong with the Zack Snyder cut because there's so many added scenes that don't matter. It's a bloated film. For example, with the guys who were wanting to blow up city blocks or whatever, in the Joss Whedon cut, it's straight and to the point. In the Zack Snyder cut, it's just him walking and walking and walking. It's fucking stupid.
Again, I feel like it's a very
Also,
difference
Wonder Woman
of
kills people.
what?
She kills people in front of children in the Zack Snyder cut.
they were going to kill them. They deserve to die,
Yeah,
my
and
guy.
I'm just saying though, like she scars children.
That's like okay, so that's like the argument of Batman saying
no.
like a
'Cause
Batman
she
like
slammed a guy to a wall and you see blood splatter on the wall. I'm like, well,
he deserved to die.
but she scarred it. Okay, but a real superhero would be like, yeah, I don't want to scar a child's like life. I don't want them to see.
Oh, they
death.
scarred the child like they're alive. They're fine.
Look, at least because in the Josh Whedon cut, there was no need for like.
Oh
blood
yeah,
or
the
anything.
superior cut of the terribly edited fight
It's
scene.
not a
that
good
was.
film, but it's better than fucking Zack Snyder's cut.
It's I just nah.
I'm not arguing that Josh Whedon made a good movie. I'm arguing that
he made a
tried to.
bastardization of that movie is what he did.
Bro, Zack
such a
Snyder's movie
bastardization.
it was made by it was not made well at all.
No, it was. It was.
I don't understand your point of view.
I think
I can't fathom it.
the biggest thing that I really get into is the change of mood, and Zack Snyder understands mood very well. All of those scenes at the very beginning, very repetitive. I can understand why someone wouldn't like them. It's repetitive and not necessarily need to be there, but it's a beautiful sensation of mood. It feels epic. And that's what this movie feels. It feels epic in scale. Every single scene has meaning and purpose, and it's building to something. You don't have to like it. You can sing it's repetitive and not like his style, but it's a very wonderful practice in mood setting, and Zack Snyder does that perfectly in all of his films, including this one. He does it very, very well.
But the film doesn't make sense.
Do you think it could have been done better, or like
I think it could have been better
It could
for
have
sure.
been infinitely. It could have been way better. Okay, look.
Okay, well we know that.
Yeah. No, but like, okay, like going back to when Darkseid got his ass kicked, right? So when he lost, it was his first and only time he ever was defeated.
Yeah.
Okay, that was established. So why did he forget where Earth was? Are you
It's a long time ago, man.
a long time ago?
a long time
Oh,
ago.
of course, yeah. So they just
long
they
time
don't
ago.
have GPS on
You
their
know how many
ships.
worlds he's conquered? A
Oh
ton of
my
them.
God.
A lot of worlds. More than 10 at least. Lots of worlds. Okay, we got to stop our arguing because we're just leaving these two out of the podcast.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Fuck!
Okay, so
But
pausing.
it's a bad film. It's a terrible film.
It's not. It's a great
It's
film. It's a
awful.
great film. You're wrong.
Look, we might actually have to dedicate an entire episode of just arguing about this.
Y'all need
Cool.
a car episode. That's what y'all need. Y'all need to go take a.
We
long
would have the
drive.
car episode.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
There you go.
I could yell at you the entire
That would
time.
be-
I could.
That would be
If I
perfect.
lose an argument, we can get in a crash.
The Car Gambit podcast.
Car Gambit. The car.
Car Gambit. Oh, that's it.
The street.
Put a
Quickly, someone
Yo,
make,
the
a,
Street
someone make that
Gambit.
channel name so no one else takes it.
Copyright. Couch Gambit Podcast 2023. Yeah, that's it.
I fucking hate you.
That's,
Hold on,
That's
hold
fair.
on.
You're just wrong. though.
Where did we stop so we can have a natural ending to this podcast?
Where did we
Oh,
stop?
shit, that's right.
Probably when we stopped yelling.
Please just end this
Kill it.
entire episode. Like this argument.
Murder.
This murder. We'll fucking do it
Murder.
again. No, like I need another episode of just arguing about this.
You
fucking
need
film.
another one?
I do. Just because
Bring it.
I wasn't able to get all my points across because we were running low on time.
That's fine. I'll fight
Oh
you on all
my
of them. I'll fight you
God.
on all of them.
I just
If Charles isn't here to ruin it for me,
You know what? I also need to rewatch both of them because it's been years since I've seen them.
You know,
you're gonna
we
sit
are
through that.
absolutely.
You
gonna
don't
get-
like that movie. You're gonna sit through 4 hours
For
of
the
something you
sake
don't
for
like.
the sake of explaining to you why it's a bad film, I will do it.
Do you know
We
how
are
much
gonna
spite that requires?
It's not just spite. It's me helping you understand why it's a bad film.
I don't need an understanding. I understand
we're
it. I've
gonna
seen it more
dedicate-
times than you have. It's
How
a
about
great
this?
film.
We'll dedicate a whole 4-hour episode to you two watching the film, and I just want you defending it the entire time, and
And
I
me
want
just
you tearing
fucking
it
tearing
apart.
it
the
Would
apart.
entire
love
time.
to.
You know,
would
And
love
I
to.
can be in the back. Going, what's happening?
And then me and Charles can just be doing what we were
who's
doing
the
for the
guy
past
in the
20
red?
minutes.
Why does he have an S on his chest?
Oh, also,
S means hope, man.
wait. Also, why the fuck did I have to watch a scene of Wonder Woman shooting a fucking, or no, not Wonder Woman, of the Amazons shooting a fucking arrow to alert Diana that, oh yeah, by the way, this happened.
If I don't have to tell you why that's awesome, then you're
That
just
is
not
no, that
human.
is so fucking
It's so
stupid.
cool.
It is so fucking
It's
dumb.
great. I would love.
It is
to
a
tell
waste
you.
of time.
I would love to tell you why that's awesome, but we're out of time.
I'm gonna
Thank
kill you.
Thank you very much for watching the 4th episode of the Couch Gaming Podcast. If you like what you see here, please subscribe. We need money.
Send a card to our P.O. box. Okay.
Please, I don't even care what it is. It could be a fucking Subaru. I don't care.
Subaru?
Yeah, Subaru.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Liam sold.
Oh, that's dumb.
before he got fired.
Oh my gosh!
He really connects with the lesbian community. It's like,
This episode is canceled.
We're doomed.
Brought to you by lesbians.
It's because-
Have a wonderful night.
Brought to you by lesbians. Okay.
Anyway, thank you for listening to this podcast. We also have our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. If you want to check us out, download our podcasts. Like I said, please subscribe. We need help. Thank you for listening. Come back next time, or don't. Do something better with your life than listen to four losers who really don't know what they're talking about.